What's in the cards for you this week ahead? Let's dive into the stars, the astrology of it, the energy around you, and how to make the most of it. I'm excited. Let me know when you pop on, say a quick hello, letting me know that you can see me, hear me, because I go live with these weekly energy weather reports. It's a wonderful time to come together as community to chat about the week ahead, what to expect, what spiritual practices can help you the most, and just enable you to live the life that you were born to live. So as we jump on, I'm going to jump on because the other places that I was hoping to go live just don't look like they're going to let me go live. And so that's okay. Hello, Julie. Glad that you're here. I'm so glad for this platform that I can come to you and speak to you here. So place your hand on your heart and bring your awareness into that heart space and tune in, knowing that you will receive the guidance and the insight that you need as you move into this week ahead. So I'm going to just ask on your behalf, what is the most important thing that you need to know? And I just kind of see who pops out, and this little guy is really making his way. Knight of Cups. Oh my goodness. Knight of Cups I love because this is really about loving yourself, whether it's a romance. Knights bring messages in the sense that they're bringing this energy into your life. And it's one that is really ushering in compassion, ushering in love, attentiveness. There's a listening. And here's something that I really like about this is if you look closely on his sneakers are little wings, kind of like the winged Mercury or Hermes or Hermes. The thing about Mercury is that he is going retrograde next week on March 15th. Make sure I get my dates right. And he's going to go retrograde starting off in the fiery energy of Aries. And he actually just moved into Aries today. This boldness, this passion to speak up for yourself. It's slightly different than when Mercury was in Pisces. So if you're feeling a boldness, if you're feeling an inspiration to really vocalize what has been on your heart, pay attention to that. You always want to be mindful before you speak and not to just blurt it out. But this is interesting. So we're going to just keep that in the back of our head as we are moving forward into this energy this week ahead. Because when I tuned in before coming on with all of you, what I really picked up on is that it is an energy this week of giving and receiving. And that's why I titled this, Are You Blocking Your Blessings? Because there is an energy around, are you open to receiving the gifts that are right there in front of you? There's a wonderful story about Joe, and when Joe goes up to heaven, and some of you have heard me speak about this, but he goes up to heaven and St. Peter is there at the pearly gates, and he hands Joe a calendar. So Joe's looking at this calendar and he's like, this is interesting, odd, but okay, I'll go with it. And he sees all these presents, on the different days. And he thinks, well, gosh, there weren't that many holidays. There weren't that many birthdays. He noticed that some of the presents are open, some are closed, and he's confused. So he looks at Peter and he goes, what is the deal with this? I don't understand. And St. Peter says, these were all the gifts of grace that the universe gave you. And because you have free will, it was up to you to choose to receive those blessings, those gifts. And some you did, but more often than not, Joe didn't. The gifts were still wrapped. So how often in your life are these gifts being offered that you end up blocking? Either because, we're busy, we're running around, we may not be valuing our own talents and gifts and be like, oh no, that's too good to be true. Couldn't be for me. It's for someone else. Pause this week. The universe truly is supporting you on your journey with your dreams. And when blocks come up, they come up for a reason. It might hurt our ego. It might hurt our feelings because we feel like either we're rejected or we fell short of the mark. But here's the amazing thing. Think about the mom who puts their arm out when the little kid is rushing into the street, so excited, I want to just run to the car. But because that block, that obstacle came, as a result, the child lives. They weren't hit by the car that was getting ready to zoom on by. Think of the times in the past when you've been blocked, when there's been an obstacle, and reflect back on how that could have truly blessed your life. Because I kind of almost feel like it's the universe mom arming us, like, wait, too fast, slow down, take a moment to just sit with this. Okay, so let's jump into this week a little bit more. I've got some of my notes nearby because I find that I have been going off script, and I don't want these sessions to get so long that you're like, all right, Irina, just get to the tofu and veg, the meat and potatoes, so to speak, of what's most important this week. And I do want to say the other thing that I noticed when I looked ahead at this week is that it is a week of discernment, and we'll get into that why I say that. Part of it is because of what the moon is doing, the phase of the moon. But I'm going to encourage you, tune in to where your energy is best invested. So it's the same thing. If the universe is giving you blessings and opportunities, but maybe you said yes to something else or you didn't say no to it, it might block up your time and energy. So it becomes harder to receive the gift that the universe is bringing forward. For example, there was a job that I went out for many a moon ago, and it was very sad because I didn't get it. The company said, we'd love to hire you, bring you on, but we had a cease and desist from the company where you're working for because they poached so many of the workers from that company. And I was heartbroken. I was like, oh no. I ended up going somewhere else. And later on, that company went belly up. So at the time, it seemed really disappointing and frustrating, but it was a blessing in the long run. I just couldn't see it for a little while. So discernment, where are you investing your energy? Where might the universe be blocking you? Don't get discouraged. So about balance this week, we're just choosing where is our energy best invested. All righty. As you tune in, let me just make sure that I am seeing everybody. Definitely say a quick hello because I see people popping on, but I want to make sure I'm not missing your comments. Discernment as you build this week ahead. And hey, by the way, if we haven't met, my name is Irina Miller. If you're new here, welcome, welcome, welcome. I consider all of us dreamers, and I love to think of you as moonbeam dreamers, those who are dancing under the moonlight, drawn to the stars above. I'm an astrologer, a spiritual life guide, and it is my joy to help empaths, intuitives, curious seekers learn their gifts, their innate intuitive gifts, how to trust that inner knowing, navigate the unseen world with confidence. So we are going to do this deep dive into what is the energy of each week. If you love diving into the spiritual practices, what's happening with the stars, be sure to like, subscribe, share this with another empathic, intuitive friend. I'm so grateful for that. And I'm so grateful for you being here and doing this work. So let's look at the week ahead. Overarching energy of the week. The reason that I love looking at this, which is essentially the phases of the moon, what are the phases of the moon that are happening that week, is because it gives us a rhythm and a tempo for the week as to what our energy levels might be like. Let's say you have all these big extroverted things planned for a week, and it's a week where the moon is getting darker and darker. You might find that you're not as willing to go out there and do the work. It's not that you can't, but there might be a little bit of a hesitancy. So if you know this ahead of time, that your energy might be lower or you might feel a little bit hesitant, you can come up with strategies to make the best of the moment. And that's what it really is about. This isn't about saying, oh, it's bad weather, wah, wah, I have to give up all my adventures and plans. This is saying, hey, the weather's changing. So we want to give you a heads up so that you can prepare in the best way possible to achieve your goals and dreams. Like old saying, there's no such thing as bad weather, only bad clothing. But all joking aside, I giggle because my son used that on me this winter when he was like, come on, we should go for a hike. I said, no, it's too cold. He's like, Mom, so no such thing as bad weather. Come on, bundle up, let's go. And I did. And it was fabulous. It's always interesting when those moments happen. Our little ones come back to us and say these things, although he's all grown now. So we're looking at the overarching energy of the week to help you prepare for whatever you have planned. You can find a rhythm and harmony. This week is about discerning. The energy is growing because the light of the moon is growing. We have a full moon lunar eclipse next week. Very, very exciting times. There's a lot of momentum building. And rather than just going into this rapid expansion of growth, I'm going to encourage you, again, discernment, refining, because the goal is to build something that is sustainable. With Mercury going into Aries, there might be this excitement of, oh yeah, we can do this, and we can do this, and we can do this. It's act now, think later, Aries energy. make sure that it's not like I have all these great big ideas and you start to implement them, but then you run out of energy. It's hard to sustain it. So before you take action, just check in. Is what I'm trying to build and grow actually sustainable? Is it in alignment with your bigger goals? If not, course correct, fine tune, get intentional before that full moon lunar eclipse that we have next week on March 14th. Big week next week, that eclipse, and then Mercury goes retrograde. So first quarter moon also happens this Thursday in Gemini. And you might find that classic tension when it comes to decision making, like something needs to be cut, something needs to be let go of. Pay attention to anything that's shifting in your world. You might find that it's not about throwing the baby out with the bathwater. It's just a simple little shift or tweak, and you're back on course. And that's really, I think sometimes when we see, ourselves careening down a path, or we get upset with ourselves, I made a mistake, I made the wrong decision, quick, I need to course correct quickly or make a big correction. We end up creating more momentum in the opposite way, and it can create more havoc. So tiny little tweaks, tiny little refinements. Mercury, because he has moved into Aries and he's getting ready to go retrograde next week, you might find that there's a little bit more depth, intensity to your thoughts. So listen to those intuitive nudges as they come up. Okay. Hello, Hannah. Great that you're here. Raisa, so wonderful to have you live. What a joy to see your energy on the call. It's such a joy to see all of you. I love that Hannah can tune in from across the pond, and Julie as well. We're on the same continent, but different time zones. It's fun to have you here. So daily energy breakdown for the week ahead. I want to do a slightly new format where we talk about the moon itself, what to know about the moon, how you can make the most of it, and then we'll pull a card to give you a little bit more insight and depth on it. So Monday, as we kick off, it's a Taurus moon and Mercury moves into Aries. Now, when I talked about the theme of the week, which is being open to receiving, part of that is also valuing yourself, valuing the gifts you bring to the table and your resources, your time, your energy, your money. Where are you going to invest them? So ultimately, the Taurus moon, it helps you tune into your resources. It truly values stability, and it's not going to want to move too fast. And it can be helpful because this Mercury in Aries is like bold thinking. I can do this, I can do that. I want to encourage you, take some time today to carve space for clarity when you make your decisions. Definitely trust your instincts, your intuition, those little nudges and hints, what I call inklings, but give yourself time to process. Taurus is an earth sign and it's fixed. It doesn't like to move fast. It's the wonderful energy of the bull. I think of it like sitting bull. You're not going to move a sitting bull, but when a bull decides to charge, you better get out of the way. When they decide to move, they move. But that fixed energy of Taurus, lean into it. No matter how fast your mind wants to go, use earth energy, because Taurus is the earth element. Get outside if you can. Go for a walk. Sit with a plant. Watch a video about nature just to help you breathe. So thinking before you act. If you find the energy building and you feel anxious, move your body. The goal is to ground, root, use that earth energy. And let's just tune in and see how you can make the most of this energy. So I'm going to just ask, what's most important that you need to know about Monday's energy? Oh, 8 of Cups. So I want to make sure that you can see this here. There we go. 8 of Cups, knowing when to walk away from something. This is not easy. She's worked very hard to get to this point. And the reason I say that is the cards, when we use them, go from the energy of the ace to the 10. So like 1 to 10. And the energy is building. 1 is like the very beginning, and 10 is a culmination. It's wrapping things up. It's closing one door so another can open. But in order for that other door to open, right, to receive the blessings in this life, there's something that we need to walk away from. Cups is an energy of water, of emotion. Also, it can represent intuition. So listen to those internal nudges and hints and just tune in to what you might need to walk away from to make room and space for the blessings that are coming your way. I had a teacher once that said, if you walk around like this, with your hands closed, because you're holding on to so many things, you can't be open to receive. So just we're discerning this week. Yogis call it viveka, tuning in. What do I need to be aware of? What do I need to refine? What do I need to tweak slightly so that I can be in the right place at the right time, that I can have the space, the resources to welcome and accept this gift because you have free will, beautiful child of the universe. Okay, Tuesday. Tuesday, moon is still in Taurus. The idea is we're refining. You're building something that's sustainable and you're refining it. The Taurus moon's going to help you prioritize what matters most. Ask yourself on Tuesday, where am I giving my time, my energy, my resources? Am I investing them wisely? Am I pouring it into empty wells? Like, are you getting a return on your investment? And that doesn't necessarily mean like dollars for dollars or euros for euros. You are just simply saying, I'm pouring my energy, my heart, my love into this. Is this the best use of my time? You know, there might be somewhere else where you can bring those blessings that you're offering that will benefit people more. So we're just aware. Give yourself some time to really value who you are and the gifts that you bring to the table. And if you're not feeling valued in a certain space, if you're not feeling seen, or you're like, oh, well, it's not, I don't want to say not worth my time, but it's kind of like you keep showing up, but you just know deep down in your soul that the energy is kind of fought like a cup, right, with holes. It just keeps pouring out. Take a moment to develop the ability to ground, to root, and say no to the things that aren't respecting your energy so that you can be in the place where you feel like I'm in flow. Things are coming with ease. It doesn't, when things flow with ease, when abundance and prosperity flows with ease, it's not that it's not necessarily challenging, that there's no work involved. It's just simply we're not running into those obstacles all the time. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. Let's pull a card for Tuesday and how you can make the most of this energy. I'm just tuning in, asking on your behalf. I got Eight of Cups again. That's interesting. Now, when the cards pop up twice like this, there's something else we want to take note of. Look at how she is walking towards the sun on the horizon. She's leaving this darkness behind. She's heading towards something that lights her heart up. Follow your joy. What lights you up? Sometimes, have you heard of that term sunk cost? Sometimes we don't walk away from a project or a job or whatever it is, something we've poured ourselves into. This is funny. This comes to mind when I'm asking for an example. If you ever do spring cleaning in your closet and you're going through your closet and you realize, oh my gosh, I bought things that I never wore and like the tags are still on it. But let's say for whatever reason, you're like, I'm never going to wear this, but you're like, I can't believe I bought this and didn't wear it. I, spent this money on this. And you're like, I got to keep it because maybe one day I'll lose the weight and I'll wear it, or maybe the style will come back in, or whatever it is, right? But we feel upset because we're like, I invested resources into this, time, energy, money. I can't just walk away from it. That's insane. Like, think of all that I invested. But the universe is saying, beautiful child of the universe, beautiful spirit and soul, it's okay. Stop, right? That phrase, it's a harsh one, but stop beating a dead horse. Take a moment to breathe, to use that Taurus moon to value your gifts and energy and say, okay, I have to be okay with that. I invested my time and energy in this space and it either didn't turn out into what I had hoped and dreamed, or you know what? I look and I say, I did get value out of this experience. Find the blessings in it. Be okay with letting it go so that you can walk to the new opportunity on the horizon. Ooh, I get chills. It's always interesting what comes through because I'm definitely channeling and I'm listening too. And it's funny because I forget what I say because I am channeling. And then I'll come back and I'll hear some of this later on in the week. I guess the different things pop up when I post them on social media. And I'm like, oh, I need to pay attention. All right, Wednesday. So Wednesday, the moon is in Gemini and Mercury does a little dance with Pluto. So let's talk about this because first off, Mercury, planet of communication, of thoughts, idea, it's a world of basically thinking. It's an air energy. It talks with Pluto in such a way. Pluto's about intensity, depth, transformation, intimacy. So you might find on Wednesday that there are deeper truths that are coming to the surface for revelation. You might crave an intimate connection. And when I mean intimate, it's like a conversation that you can have with someone where you feel okay being vulnerable, where you're okay to go deep. It's not just surface level, like, oh yeah, this weekend we did this with the fur babies, the kids, I went out, I blah, blah, blah. This is, the deeper conversations, really making a soul connection. And in the Moon Club, we go into, I've got my good old moon journal here, and we go into something this month called Anam Kara, which is about a soul friend. It's somebody who sees you. It's a Gaelic phrase or Celtic saying, a soul friend. They see your heart. They know who you are. You don't have to put on airs, pretend that everything's okay, or you're someone you're not in order to fit in. You can be at ease with them. So on Wednesday, if you're feeling called to have the deeper conversations, if it feels a little faded, like, you end up running into an old friend, or you pick up on a random phrase from a song, or you're in the grocery store and someone says something, pay attention to the words. Again, whether it's through lyrics and music, an ad on YouTube or a channel that you're watching or something you're listening to, the guidance might come through in unexpected ways. You might be called to connect with someone like an Anam Kara, a soul friend. If for some reason you're not able to have that conversation with another person, journal. Wednesday's a great day for just capturing the thoughts. The universe is indeed whispering, so write down what comes through. And let's just pull a card to see how can you make the most of Wednesday's energy. And I'm going to shuffle really, really well so that we see who else comes up. Okay, excellent. So the World card comes up. And as the World card comes up, this is about completion, culmination, graduation. You're ready for the next adventure. It is an energy that it's interesting because it also says hello to the fixed energy. And we're moving from that Taurus moon, which is very fixed and steady, into the Gemini energy. And Mercury rules Gemini, which is another reason I was kind of like, okay, pay attention to the conversations, the words, the lyrics that come through. There's an intensity to it. There's a faded moment where you'll overhear a conversation. You're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that. Who knows? Maybe somebody says something, I'll just say about a new opportunity for you, because this really can go in so many ways, but we need to be ready for it, which means we have to be okay closing the chapter on certain things, walking away from it. So Monday and Tuesday, if you took the time to say, you know what, I'm okay that I spent so much time and energy and money, so many of my resources in this area, on this thing, in this relationship, whatever it is, and think, okay, that was a sunk cost. I'm never going to make my investment back, or it's just never going to turn out to what I want it to be, or I'm going to stop trying to pump life into this. It's okay to walk away. It's okay to close the chapter on this because there's a new energy coming in. And nothing is ever lost when we can take a moment to really glean the wisdom of the experience. And again, I hesitate to say the lessons from the moment, but everything is building you to help you fulfill and bring your dream into being if we can be aware and conscious enough of what we're doing and utilizing. And here's what I mean by that, is that sometimes we might get frustrated that we've gotten knocked down, or it looks like a failure to us, like we didn't hit the goal or the, markers we wanted, the results. But what if that experience created the resiliency within you, or it cultivated a skill of like tenacity or perseverance, or learning how to rest and not push too far and burn the candles at all the ends, so that you could have the necessary internal gifts to do what you came here to do in this lifetime? Because I truly believe that all of us have a calling in this life. There's something that is this guiding force propelling us that our soul doesn't feel satiated unless we are somehow bringing that experience into this world. And I say it that way because it's more than a purpose and it's more than a mission. Yes, those words kind of capture the essence of it a little bit, but this is a soul calling. This is a longing. This is something that you can't deny for too long because it'll just keep, poking at you and poking at you and wearing you down. And we could ignore it, but I feel like when we do, we end up with that empty hole that's never filled, like, that we try to fill with love or physical things or, food or whatever it is. But it's like, I'm just still hungry. There's something out there. So making the space for that. Holy cannoli. Thursday, moon is still in Gemini, but now the energy of the moon is first quarter. And this is where I always feel like this is where the choices have to be truly made, where the cuts have to happen. The first quarter moon is challenging you to take action. Something is shifting. So are you ready to pivot? Are you ready to shift directions? The Gemini influence might have you feeling like you're getting pulled in different directions. It might have you do things twice because it's the twin energy. So, even if you might find yourself having to have the conversation more than once, or maybe you're canceling, a software subscription or, whatever it is, you might have to have the conversation twice. So if it doesn't stick the first time, don't necessarily take that as a sign that you're not supposed to let it go. Always breathe into it, but learn how to trust your gut. It is progress over perfection, most definitely. Know that even the smallest little tiny steps are helping you move forward. And let me just say too, when you're learning how to trust your gut, and I'm teaching a whole masterclass on this Wednesday. Let me put this up here, by the way. If you want to learn different ways to expand your intuitive abilities, then you can go to irenamiller.co/info EA. So irenamiller.co/INFOEA. And I'm going to be talking about the 4 basic pillars that I love to teach my students when it comes to developing their intuitive abilities. And what I'll tell you right now, and this will help immensely because so many of you, I know that if you're here, if you're tuning in, you're intuitive, you're empathic. Everyone has intuitive abilities. It's just a matter of becoming aware of them and refining them. And I truly believe that if you are here, you are aware of your gifts. And it's like, oh, how do I just access them? How does it happen so it's not just random happenstance, but there can be a consistency to it? How can I really trust it? Well, one of the first things I would share with you is to know that when intuitive messages come through, when you're trusting your gut, you're going to look for 3 main things. The first thing is that the message is going to come through with love. It's not going to be fear-based, no matter what terrible thing is happening. And I say this from firsthand experience because I've had some terrible things happen, as we all have. And when I got the intuitive hit, it was always love-based. It wasn't fear. It wasn't, you're getting hacked and hundreds and thousands of dollars are being stolen, or you're blah, blah, blah. It always came through with love. It always was like, oh, check your email. Oh, log into Facebook. I think it's someone's birthday. Make sure you wish them a happy birthday. It was always with love. But what the universe did was it nudged me in the right place so that I could be in a place of being grounded, not fear. Because if we're in fear, if we're already in fight or flight because we're afraid that something bad is happening or going on, then what happens is our decision making, it's not always as clear. And we're acting from that primal space. We're not in our right head. And we look back and we're like, why or how did I do that? Like I wasn't in my right mind. Who was I? Who was that person? So it's always going to come through with love. The second thing is that the message is going to come through with a quiet voice. It's not going to be like the thunder from the sky, God sending down the lightning bolt. Not to say that intuition can't come through in these ways, but more often than not, it's a quiet voice like, psst, hey, check this out. Whose birthday is it today? Psst, go check your email. You might have gotten a nice little letter or note. It's always quiet. It's not yelling at you, but it's quiet. It's consistent. That's the third thing. is that it is consistent. The message doesn't change. It's not like, oh, hey, go log into Facebook. It might be someone's birthday. And then it's not going to be like, oh, hey, go out for a run, oh, hey, go to the store. It's going to be getting you based on the intuition. So like in that point in time, I needed to try to log into Facebook because the bad guys had hacked it and I wasn't able to log in because they changed my password. So the goal was like, just log in. And it kept coming back in different ways. And that consistency, I always look for it to come through 3 times. But if it comes through a 3rd time, might be said a little differently, but the main message is consistent. So that's the way that you can really begin to trust your intuition and your gut knowing. And for more tips, definitely come to the masterclass on Wednesday. If you're watching this with me live, that is March 5th at noon Eastern time or 9 Pacific, or for my friends across the pond, a little bit after 5. Okay. We're going to go ahead and we're going to talk. And let me just pull. I don't think I pulled a card for this day. Holy cannoli. Let's go ahead and pull a card. Let me see. I'm going back to make sure that I am on the right track day-wise because we're talking about Thursday. Got so excited about the intuitive message. Thursday. What do you need to know to make the most of Thursday's energy? So this is forward thinking. This is the beautiful Queen of Swords, and she's looking out over her queendom, and she's being analytical. She's tucked her heart away. It doesn't mean she can't access her heart, meaning her feelings, her intuition, her emotions, but she's being logical and analytical. She's looking at the facts. And with the moon in Gemini, here's the thing. With a first quarter moon, when we've got to make decisions and cuts, like that saying, it's not personal, it's business. Oh, holy cannoli. Say that to an empath. That's always personal to me. But every now and then, that's why we have this energy that circles around to help us. Those of us who might take it personally, too personally and too emotionally. Queen of Swords says it's okay. We can be analytical. We're going to put on our business hats. We're going to look at our bigger overreaching goal. And if we keep doing these things, maybe because our heart's like, oh, but I couldn't walk away from that, or I've put so much energy and time and love into that, I can't walk away from that. She's like, listen, you got to look at your numbers. You got to look at the bigger picture. You got to take this into account, your energy levels. If you keep doing this in this one area, you're going to run out of the resources, the time, the energy, the money. So let's put this into perspective. Let's look at our numbers. Let's analyze this from a very, I'll use practical, even though she's air energy, and it's really a thinking process. It's not necessarily the pragmatic, down-to-earth Capricorn, but she is really thinking about the analytics. She's not letting her emotions sway her decision. That's really cool for that first quarter moon. Ooh, I'm excited for that. I'm going to lean into her energy for sure on Thursday. Okay, so Friday's energy. Friday moon starts off in Gemini, and then it moves into Cancer about 11:30 a.m. Eastern, 8:30 Pacific for our friends on the West Coast. For those across the pond, I think you're still 5 hours ahead. That might change as we get into the springing forward. But for you, 11:30, so like 4:30 p.m. or so. Why do I highlight when the moon is changing zodiac signs? I want to invite you to be aware of the subtle little shifts, because you're going to go from the air energy of Gemini, which is thinking and thoughts and being in our head, into the emotions. So Thursday, when you're able to make that kind of not down to earth, but that practical business decision that isn't letting emotions cloud the process, you're going to feel it Friday night. The emotions come in with the Cancer moon, deepening your feelings. So where you might have been able to tuck your emotions away on Thursday, now they might be bubbling to the surface a little bit more Friday afternoon, evening. Just give yourself time to nurture your heart, your feelings. Do something that helps your heart, helps you process the emotions. So for like the Cancer moon, that might be, your favorite box of chocolates, a good feel-good movie, cozying up with a good book, a hot cup of tea, a warm bath, connecting with a loved family member or someone who feels like their family, because family's not always the ones we were born into. But giving yourself that connection, I'm going to create a strong foundation. It's going to be okay. Nurture your feelings. So I'm going to just ask, how can you make the most of Friday's energy? And so we're just shifting. Oh, he really is calling me. I'm going to see who this is. Okay. I'm seeing who else is popping out because, oh my gosh, because there's a lot popping out. Okay. So the card that really was calling to me, usually when I'm shuffling, I look for the card that really comes out easily and is popping out. And I almost went by this one, but she called me back before I shuffled again. This is the Four of Pentacles. This is really knowing when to hold them, knowing when to fold them. I always think of that song with this card. Sometimes we just hold back and we're not investing or spending. We're being miserly or we're being frugal. We're saving for that rainy day, but we're always saving. I giggle at myself because I will, tend to love to save, and I'll have like pencils from elementary school or something that I've been saving forever. And then I've come to the realization that eventually it goes bad. Like you can't, like the ink dries up in the pen, or, the shoes disintegrate in the closet, or let's say like the vinegar, the wine spoils, the wine becomes vinegar. Knowing when to enjoy yourself and when to hold back. Friday's energy, when it kicks off in the Gemini moon, your mind's still going to be going. You're still kind of be thinking on that analytical level. But as afternoon hits and we shift into the emotions, be okay with letting go and with releasing and realizing that it might be worth your while to not hold on so tightly. And when I say hold on so tightly, hold on to those resources. And I pause a little bit because the beginning of the week is like, let go, let go, let go. And this is saying, okay, but I'm going to hold on to this one thing. It reminds me of, do you ever see The Goonies? Love that movie. And they run into the wishing well. And at first they think that they found the pirate's treasure with all these coins, but they realize, oh, we're at the bottom of a wishing well. They've gone through this series of tunnels in a cave. And the main character, played by, oh my gosh, his name, Sean Astin, he finds a little coin and he's like, yeah, but I'm taking this because someone in the group says, we can't take this money. These are people's wishes. We have to leave them. But Sean Astin's character finds a coin and he says, this was my wish and it didn't come true. And I'm taking it back with me. Ooh, interesting. So there might be something that you want to keep, a memento, something that reminds you, something that you're like, you know what? I had this project, I had this thing I was pouring my heart and my energy and my love and my time into, and I'm going to be okay with letting it go. But this part of it, this I'm going to take with me. Interesting. Very interesting. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out. The other card that came out with this is love. So that opportunity for love to come, to be very loving and kind towards yourself. Sometimes we can beat ourselves up, but give yourself the gift of love on Friday as those emotions are popping up. And art is such an amazing way to process the bigger feelings and experiences that we can't comprehend and understand fully. So I really feel grateful for the artists in our world. Okay, so we move into Saturday's energy. So I have my little thing to keep me on track. Otherwise, I'd really get lost. Cancer moon. Moon moves into Cancer on Saturday. So these are the emotions. Intuition is picking up. The zodiac sign of Cancer is associated with the element of water. You might find yourself a little extra sensitive, or those around you. Intuition might be picking up. The goal is, are you listening? It's a great day for meditating, for being in water, around water. Maybe you're paying a little bit more attention to messages that come through in your dreams, or just as you're going through your day-to-day activities, those little nudges, those little feelings, jot them down. But ultimately, if your emotions feel overwhelming, give them a place, like an outlet, whether that's you crying it out with a good feel-good movie, whether that's you going for a swim or in the bathtub or the shower, or you're simply just having that connection time with somebody who feels like family. Okay, we're going to just ask, how can you make the most of Saturday's energy? That's interesting. A couple ones want to pop up. Okay, this guy's really coming up. The Star. So there's limitless possibilities around you. Sometimes we just can't dream big enough. We get blocked in. We forget how many opportunities are around us. If we've run into that obstacle or something didn't work, we're like, oh no, where will I go now? What will I do? How could this be? There's no hope. I invite you to think of, I love this story. It's about two salesmen. You've probably heard me tell it. But the two salesmen, this happens like 150 years ago, beginning of the 20th century, late 19th. And these two shoe sales guys go to this tiny little village in a remote area. And the first sales guy gets off the train and walks into the village, and he sees everybody running around barefoot. And he's like, great. So he goes to the telegraph office and he telegraphs home, situation hopeless, stop. No one wears shoes, stop. And he leaves the village and he goes back home. And then the next shoe salesperson comes to the town, gets off the train, looks around. No one's wearing shoes. He goes to the telegraph office and he messages back, glorious business opportunity, stop. No one wears shoes, stop. And I love that, right? Because that for me, you know, it's kind of like the glass half full, half empty, but it takes it to a whole new level. The idea of the star card is you're in a dark night sky area where there's no light pollution, and you look up and you're like, oh my God, there are so many stars. Usually I can just see the moon and Venus, and maybe if I'm lucky, Jupiter and Mars, but like, look at all these stars. Wow, this is incredible. There are so many opportunities. You know, there's more to this heaven and earth than can be dreamt of. Was a Horatio? I'm butchering the Shakespeare. My brother's the Shakespearean actor. So he'll have to correct me. But I invite you, take that breath. And how do we enable ourselves to see the stars? Hey, great if you can get to a dark sky area and look up for the inspiration. But more symbolically, I hear pause, go into the darkness yourself. It's okay, meaning meditate. When I say darkness, it's just like, okay, I'm going to meditate. I'm going to close my eyes. I'm going to go within to see all the possibilities. Because if you're looking outside yourself for the possibilities, then you could feel overwhelmed and you could just feel lost. Ooh, I'm excited. That was a cool message that came through for that one. I hadn't thought of that with the stars, of going within to see the stars inside your heart. Oh, I'm having fun. Whoever's coming through, I'm really enjoying you. And always, as a side note, before we begin, I ground and I connect to God universe. So it's always ultimately coming from God. Okay, Sunday's energy. So Sunday, the moon does start off in Cancer, but then it moves into fiery Leo. So we go from watery Cancer into fiery Leo. About 7 p.m. Eastern. West Coast friends, it'll be 4 p.m. for you. Friends across the pond, hopefully you'll be sleeping around midnight. But this is about moving from like, oh, we might have been emotional about what we've been letting go. We've been processing now. I gotta let go of this. It's not the end of the world. There's new opportunities, limitless potential. This is about stepping into the bold confidence that Leo brings. Fiery Leo is the lion, the king and the queen of the jungle. Hear you roar. So where the Cancer moon might have brought introspection, stirring up those big feelings, when we shift into that Leo energy, you are being encouraged to step into your power. Maybe you'll have a good hair day too. Leo energy always brings the good hair. But think of it ultimately like your cosmic reminder of your own inner light, to shine it and to be seen. The Leo energy really, and I'm going to say it this way, needs to be seen. They're here to bring a light to this world and teach the rest of us how to do it. So as we move into that Leo energy, maybe you're feeling called to do something bold, to share your voice, or something vibrant, a little bit of red, or maybe now is when you say yes to the opportunity, or you may have held back a little bit on Friday. Now is the time. So we're going to just tune in. How can you make the most of this energy on Friday? And there's 2 cards popping. Oh, that's interesting. Okay. It's always interesting to see how they pop up. All right, 9 of Wands. You are so close. Keep hanging in there. It's like the little kitty cat poster from the 80s. Do you remember that? Hang in there. What she's saying, though, is that life would be so much better. You know, life is but a dream. What is that song from Clue? Do you remember that? I love that. If I could take you up to paradise up above. You're the only one that I love. Life is but a dream, sweetheart. Drop a project. You've got too many things on your plate. Let go of something. She's so close to the finish line, but she's carrying so much. She's doing so many projects. It is burning her out. Let something go. So this is encouraging you. 4 of Pentacles popped up. What have you been holding on to that is dragging you down? It's kind of like you're in the water, you're swimming, and it's like, I just can't let go of this one thing. But if you keep holding on to it, it's going to drown you. It's like, are you going to choose life or are you going to choose the object? Go for life. Success is around the corner. It's possible. All right. You are fabulous. As much as I'm trying to make this very succinct and organized, thank you for hanging in here with me. I love this time together. I know these can be long. Let me know if you like the format, if the length is good for you, if you want to see it shorter. I do chop it up during the week and I add little chapters so you can jump ahead and around to make it easier to digest. But know that ultimately this week is a week about discernment. It's about creating balance in your world so that you are managing your energy and your resources in such a way that you can be open to the opportunities and blessings that are all around. Stop blocking your blessings by trying so hard, holding on to something else that just isn't working or isn't lighting you up. Where are you investing your energy? Stay open to those unexpected gifts. And as this waxing moon is building, build your world with intention so that it is sustainable. Ultimately, what is calling you in your life? What is that soul calling? Give me some, feedback too in the comments. What's coming up for you? Remember, next week we have the full moon lunar eclipse in Virgo. Mercury goes into retrograde. Big shifts are happening. But I am sending you so much love. Thank you for being here. And until next time, trust your vibes, follow your heart, and I'll catch you on the flip side. Bye, guys. Much, much love. You're welcome, Julie. Have a great week.